Okay, folks, welcome back to Answer the Question here on Chris Wyatt Reports. Rob Hutchinson from DearSA and myself, Chris Wyatt, here in the studio in good old USA. I'm back from South Africa. Rob, let's start it off and say today is the 6th of October, 2022. We haven't done one of these since the 4th of August. Let me ask you, Rob, first question, how you doing?
I was expecting something much more than that. But yeah, I'm good. I'm well, Chris. I cannot complain. How are you doing?
I'm well, but you know what? I just see something here. I'm going to have to change my wallpaper because the contrast between us doesn't look so good. So let me try this. How's it? There you go. That's better.
Nice.
Yeah, that's better. So now with your blue background, I've got looking at Earth there. So no, I'm well, Rob. Thanks for asking. When last we saw each other, we parted ways at Tapas Restaurant in Nelson Mandela Bay, Port Elizabeth.
That was fantastic. What a good meet and greet that was. And what a good drive on the way there. It was lovely. Lovely to spend some time.
And thank you for that, Rob. It was fantastic. For those who don't know, Rob met me at the airport in George when I flew from Cape Town. Sean Mandich was there, by the way, to greet me. It was very kind of him. He was actually waiting outside when I got my bag, and then Rob pulled up in his vehicle. And he took me over to Hein Marks. We went to Hein Marks, and then we went, and then he had to leave, and then I went to Mossel Bay, and Robin came pick me up there. And then we did stop at Elvis Brew on the way out of the airport, and then before we left town. And then we went across the garden route in South Africa, looking at beautiful scenery until we got to Eastern Cape, and then atrocious, hideous-looking windmills obstructed our view. But other than that, it was pretty cool, Rob, eh?
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. And I'm so glad that you actually had the dash cam on there and recorded the whole trip. It was absolutely wonderful. One of the best drives I've taken, and the first time I've done it as well. So it was a good experience to experience with an American visitor who also experienced it for the first time.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I've been to the garden route as many times as you have now. Once.
Yeah, exactly. It was great.
It was pretty amazing. I have to say that there's some really interesting communities along the way, and the scenery was pretty amazing. Not to diss on the Eastern Cape, but it's pretty clear when you reach the Eastern Cape, the scenery changes dramatically. It's quite exciting stuff there in the Western Cape. I don't know if that's just how they decided to make the boundaries, but they gave all the pretty scenery to the Western Cape and not the Eastern Cape.
They did. There's a clear border and division. You can actually see it in the road, and the vegetation changes almost immediately. It's quite weird.
It is a very different biosphere. You can see that almost immediately. The types of bushes and trees seem to be very different. But Rob, you've got just a limited time today. So we're back doing this after, 2 months now since we've done it, over 2 months. 2 months and 2 days. So let's get to it because you've got to head out at the top of the hour. You're doing a discussion. I want to talk a little bit about the topic you're going to talk on that program. But two topics I want to get to today to answer the question is the tobacco bill that's come out in South Africa and what it's about and what DearSA is trying to accomplish. And then the second one is, now, by the way, if you're wondering why Rob's lights are fluctuating, he just went into load shedding. That's why we're a couple minutes late starting. And he's running off of 2 hamsters and a gerbil. And so when they tire, the lights dim. So, he has
2 hamsters and a bull terrier.
That's right. He has to give the hamsters more cheese, and the bull terrier, he has to throw some fresh meat out there to keep them going. Just out of reach. They can't quite reach it. So anyway, but he's experiencing load shedding. So anyway, so the that bill, and then I also want to talk about the expropriation bill, which people keep calling the land expropriation bill, and I think this one's specifically focused on land, although I could be wrong. I haven't read the entire language of it. Also, people freaking out that it's been passed, but it hasn't. It's only partially through the legislative process, then it has to go to the president. But nonetheless, it's troubling signs. Let's talk about the tobacco bill first. Rob, what are your thoughts on it, this tobacco bill? I'll tell you mine after I hear what you've got to say. But this bill seems to go very deeply into people's personal privacy, their homes, their automobiles, and dictate what the state can do. So what's the bill about, and what's DearSA trying to do?
Yeah, I think the bill is extreme, an example of extreme government overreach, number one. It does allow government to step into your private residence if there is a report of smoking, even if you're smoking in your car, and it's obviously not limited to cigarettes or tobacco. It includes e-cigarettes and vaping as well, which seems kind of counterproductive. There was a whole move towards smokeless vaping, and that was allowed in businesses and buildings and public places. But now that seems to be overturned. They're even talking about getting rid of branding on cigarette boxes, which kind of paves the way for illegitimate cigarettes and cigarette smugglers and so on to launch a thriving business in South Africa. I don't know what what government's intention is behind this, but I think it's more an invasion of privacy, as you say. We did run a public participation campaign quite some time ago on the bill, and got quite a few comments on that, and did send them through to Parliament and the committee. However, they've gone ahead anyway. It's now been voted through by the National Assembly and is sitting before the National Council of Provinces, which might bring in another public participation process or opportunity before it lands up on the president's desk.
Well, I should bring in here a comment from the chat right away, Rob, since you just did a summary of that. One of the viewers says it's for health reasons. Smoking is bad for you. That's nonsense. It's nonsense. First off, it's not the government's responsibility to decide what's healthy for me. It's not their job. If I want to be a glutton and overeat and get heart disease and obesity and type 2 diabetes, that's my stupidity. That's my choice. The government doesn't get to regulate that. This surrender to government bureaucrats, our autonomy and our freedom. One of my viewers who's a very articulate and experienced and accomplished guy, said he'd love to see his driver's license digitized like New Zealand's doing. Yeah, and then they'll use that to hit you with fines and stop you from driving and pull you over and suspend your license if you've been given a parking ticket that you're unaware of. You know, here in Pennsylvania, they have this ridiculous Pennsylvania Turnpike, and they did away with all the toll keepers. So now they bill you by plate if you don't sign up for the tracking system to put a device in your car so they know where you're at all the time. I don't care for that. I mean, if they want to track me, then they'll have to do what they do to Andre de Ruyter and put a bug in my car, okay? but you know, so now I get these toll bills that come in the mail, and they're not on a schedule. They just come whenever they feel like it. And they bill me and double bill me. And I proved it. I have to waste an hour calling these people up, and it's difficult to find a number to call them up and say, hey, how could I possibly go through the same toll gate with the same license plate at the same time on the same day twice? It's impossible. It violates the law of physics. And the lady said, "Oh, yes, sorry, no, this happens a lot. You'd be surprised." I said, "No, I wouldn't be surprised. This is government overreach. So if I don't pay this, then I get a fine. If I don't pay that, then you suspend my license. And if it's digital, then I'll get arrested for driving on a suspended license when you frauds erroneously charged me for a toll that I never accrued." You know, that's the kind of nonsense that's going on here. The surrender of our autonomy to people, just to me, it's astounding how easily people give up their autonomy and don't understand the repercussions. Maybe because I've been working with IT since I was a kid, and I've done computers and done programming, built computers and built apps and wrote software and have been involved in surveillance and intelligence for the last 4 decades. Maybe that's why I appreciate how it can be misused. And this here to me seems to be the government telling you what you can do to your body. Whatever happened to my body, my choice. There's a super chat from Hilich, 14 Rand. Thank you for that. Rob, whatever happened to my body, my choice?
Yeah, that got thrown out the window, definitely, with the whole hashtag Me Too movement, didn't it? And with the vaccine movement, it kind of got turned on its head.
You can't talk about that.
Sorry.
Jabs. The
jab thing. Yes, of course. We can't say the word. Yes.
We can just pantomime it.
Yes, exactly. That thing. Yeah,
the spicy cough. Anyway, so yeah.
Spicy, that addresses the spicy cough, yeah. No, there's no such thing as my body, my choice anymore, because that term has got so watered down. There's no point in even using it anymore. The same people that did scream "my body, my choice" when it came to the pro-life kind of movement. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Are the same people who refuse to admit that it's their body, my choice on that issue as well. And I think this is the same thing, exactly the same thing. Why the government has no right to tell me what to do with my body, and presenting it as for the benefit or the health benefit of others is a ridiculous notion anyway. Smokers are confined to certain areas where non-smokers don't venture within. There seems to be plenty precaution put in anyway for secondary smoke inhalation. And saying it'll place, I know government will probably say it'll be in place because of the burden that smokers carry or would place on the national health or insurance program is also ridiculous.
Well, I mean, Rob, I mean, look, I mean, the burden that taxpayer, freeloading, mooching students put on South Africans by having no fees and going to university, I think that's a bigger burden. We should just eliminate that, right? I mean, that's a burden.
Yeah.
Why do we have to pay for that? Why do South Africans have to pay for other people's choices? That's the argument they're making, but they make you pay for other people's choices every single day of the year.
Absolutely, including 19 million social grants. That's another issue altogether, isn't it?
46% of South Africans live on welfare, and the ANC is proud of that accomplishment. I would be embarrassed.
Yeah, of course they would. It's guaranteed voters. That's why, because there's so many people actually still believe that if there was a change in government, and well, there wouldn't be a change in government. Government is government, but a change in the people running the government, then they would lose their social benefits, and that's how the ANC manages to still get votes from people. And let's not kid ourselves; those rumors do fly around during election time, and it's used as strong campaigning, especially at a local and rural area.
No, fair point. Okay, now let me just share my view on cigarettes and vaping and all that, because people are going to find it quite odd. They're going to say, "Wait a second, you oppose this legislation, but you also hate cigarettes." I do. Okay, so it's a not a love-hate; it's a dislike and hate relationship. In the interest of full disclosure, I do own a small number of shares in Altria, which is a tobacco company. They sell most of their cigarettes in China, and I'm fine with the Chinese smoking. I have no problem with that. Smoke all you want, China. Keep buying those smokes, man. Okay, so there's full disclosure. So I do get a small amount of profit from people smoking. So just letting people know that. But I detest cigarettes. I grew up around smokers. My mother was a chain smoker, 30, 40 cigarettes a day. My stepfather was a smoker. They had no consideration for anyone. They would smoke in the car. They would smoke in the house. They would smoke everywhere. They smoke in restaurants. And they didn't care about our health. And it was already at a time in the 1970s that people were aware of the dangers of smoking, the hazards of smoking. It was already put on cigarette packages here in the States. So it was a personal choice, and they chose to do it. My mother died from stage 4 metastatic lung cancer, and that no doubt is a consequence of a life of smoking. It was her third time having cancer, but she hadn't had it since the 80s. So she went from the 80s until 2020 without it. But anyway, she passed away from lung cancer, and it was a painful experience. I don't care for cigarettes. I don't like them. They stink. They're nasty. And not to say anything about it, but as a military officer, when we see other military officers smoking, it kind of gives off impression in uniform of low class and low standards. I'm not saying that about people smoking in general, but in uniform, that's the impression you get. So I don't like them. I find it offensive when someone's able to smoke at a stadium, and that's very inconsiderate. People get away with it all the time because ushers are terrified of causing a chaos and telling them to leave. And people smoke at concerts, and people smoke in restaurants. I find it very, very inconsiderate and selfish. But if a smoker chooses to smoke away from someone and it doesn't interfere with them, I had a first sergeant that worked for me in Italy, and he died from cancer too. I don't know if it was from the cigarettes, but he died from cancer a few years back, and he smoked all the time. But at work, he'd walk out on the balcony of our building in Italy. He'd smoke his cigarette out there when it wasn't interfering with work. He'd strip the butt up. He'd put it in the trash, and he wouldn't disturb anybody with a cigarette. And that's very considerate. And that's the sort of thing. I have no objection to that. That's a personal choice for him. And that's kind of my thoughts on it. So, yes, I own shares in a cigarette company, a tobacco company. Yes, I find cigarettes to be highly offensive. And I can smell a cigarette from 100 meters away. And I can tell you, Rob, I can get an instant headache from cigarette smoke if it's too close. I mean, within 20 or 30 meters, it goes straight to my head and gives me a headache. And it's just really irritating. So I own shares in tobacco. I hate cigarettes, but I am adamantly opposed to this intrusion into personal liberty. If parents want to smoke in their home and they have children, well, then they're fools. It's not the state's responsibility to legislate that away and punish people. This is another effort to destroy the nuclear family, in my view, as well. They may not be saying that, but that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to take over parenting away from parents. And I would encourage people who have kids not to smoke. If you're pregnant, I urge you not to smoke. But if you're not pregnant, if you're not trying to conceive, if you're not around your kids, if you're in private and you're being respectful of others, and you want to smoke, go for it. Now, vape, I can't stand vape. I think it's a fad, and I think that people think they're cool, just like when cigarettes came out, they were promoted. I can't stand the vaping thing. It's and people these days that I see vaping are far less considerate than smokers of cigarettes and cigars. I find vapors to be far more inconsiderate because they act, well, what do you care? It doesn't bother you. Well, the stench and the smell from your flavored garbage blowing in my face is really annoying. Anyway, so there's my thoughts on it. Rob, what do you think? Any comments on what I had to say?
No, I fully agree with you. It is, I'm not too against vaping. I think it's okay. When vaping first came out, it was bellows of smoke absolutely everywhere. It was quite amusing sitting in traffic and you see this smoke pouring out of the car, and you think something's gone wrong with the car, and you kind of avoid it, but it's some guy with his window open vaping. But the new vape seemed to be less smoke orientated. I think it was more of a marketing thing in the beginning.
To get it to catch on.
So people can note, and which absolutely worked well, didn't it? But now I don't find it too offensive at all. Most of them don't have any smell, any odor, or very limited smoke. It's more like steam now.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with that. But that being said, I don't think the government has any right whatsoever to tell people what to do in their own private homes and on their own private property. That is absolutely definite overreach from government and should not be tolerated by anyone. If we let that happen, what's next? Where else can they encroach on your personal freedoms? And let's not joke, they are doing that at every possible level.
Yeah, fair point. One of the viewers just said, Chris, you know nothing of vaping. I know almost nothing of pole dancing, but I have no desire to participate in it either.
We should have a poll.
I'm not that bendy.
Not that bendy. We'd like to see you in a bikini. Come on.
Maybe 30 years ago. No, when I was a young man, if you look at photos of my mom and I, we had very similar appearance in our youth. And I suppose back in the day, if we'd had the trans movement, I could have been androgynous or something like that. Who knows? But I might have had the build back then, but not these days. But no, I know very little about pole dancing, and I don't want to participate in that either. So there you go. As I'm choking myself up there. That's too funny. Anyway, but Rob, so you did this campaign when this bill was first proposed. I mean, it's like a long time ago when this thing first came up. I'd forgotten all about it. I thought it died, but now it's there. Is there another campaign, or are you just trying to refresh people about the previous campaign, or are you listening more comments on this?
No, we can't give comments as yet because they're not quite open. However, if we do put enough public pressure on the NCOP, National Council of Provinces, then they might just say there's something wrong with the bill and send it back to the committee and open it up again for public comment to seek more amendments. That has happened in the past, and I don't see why it can't happen again with enough public pressure.
Yeah, no, okay, that's very helpful. I appreciate that. And then my viewer, who is Arctic, says that don't call it garbage if you don't know what difference is made to smokers who have not touched a cigarette in years due to vaping. Arctic, did I say garbage? If I did, maybe that's strong. I did say that I've found that when vaping started, that people who were vaping were far less considerate than cigarette smokers, and that's a true experience. Listen, that's my truth. That's my lived experience. Just so you know, I'm going to use the word. Now, Arctic is not a leftist. That wasn't. I'm going to start using those phrases. So because I love that, my lived experience. Please, it's all about equity here. It's all about equity. No, anyway, but. Listen, I do still find that many vapors are very inconsiderate when they do it. But as Rob said, most of it seems to be just steam these days. And to Arctic's point, it's helped a lot of people who were addicted to nicotine get off of it. Now they're just addicted to their vape. So I really don't see how they benefited from it. But I suppose maybe we benefit because we don't have to breathe the secondhand tar and nicotine that comes off of cigarettes. But you're still getting your nicotine from a vape, aren't you? Aren't they? Isn't that the whole purpose though whole thing? Yeah, I mean, they still get their
I think
addiction.
you can control it. Yeah, they can control it a lot more there. Yeah. There's certain milligrams that I'm not quite sure on how much.
I don't know the science of it, but anyway. Yeah, so obviously, Arctic, I now know that you're a vapor, so thank you for sharing that story. So anyway.
What would the pod bros be without vaping?
There you go. There you go. But no, it's, but this, again, this back to the point here, all the joking aside with our viewers, again, I think we're in a lockstep agreement here that this is government overreach. This is yet another effort to take personal autonomy away from free human beings, and it's quite frightening to see how willing so many people are to go along with this sort of thing.
Yeah, it is. It is, and I think most people aren't even aware of the consequences. Most people just go with the flow. Whatever government proposes must be right. They've done their research. They know what they're doing. No, there's always an ulterior motive coming from government. What that is at this stage, I'm not quite too sure, but no doubt it will reveal itself.
I think you're correct about that. Arctic said that he was told that he would lose his medical coverage if he didn't stop smoking, so he switched to vape and never had any medical issues again. I think never having any medical issues again is different than saying you never had a threat that you're going to lose your medical coverage. That's two separate things. I'm willing to bet you've had a cold or the flu or the spicy cough or something in the interregnum, so you've probably had a medical issue. I think what you meant to say, because it's text, is that you never had an issue with your medical. But that's today, Arctic. This legislation will help demonize vaping, and then the movement will be to punish people who vape. And just like people who didn't get the jab being denied health care coverage in America, that's illegal, but they're doing it, and being fired for not getting it, that's also illegal. It violates labor standards and labor practices in this country, but they're getting away with it, not just in the military, but in private corporations. They will use this to demonize vaping. So if you're a vapor, you should be opposed to this, because they're coming for you too. Just because they don't come for you today doesn't mean they won't come for you next week. Folks, you got to pay attention. When government overreaches like this, that's what's happening here. Today, it's once, you give them an inch, they take 7 kilometers, and that's what they're trying to do here.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why you have to fight back and have a say and oppose legislation like this, or just brush it aside and say, no ways, we cannot, this is definite overreach. I mean, anybody who's picked up or who does vape will absolutely agree that it is definite government overreach. The whole reason, like I said, that they introduced it was to move away from smoking in public places, and they brought out enough legislation to tackle that. Why attack vaping at the same time, or e-cigarettes at the same time? That makes no sense whatsoever. And it's quite surprising, because normally government just adds on taxes, which I think they're increasing some taxes as well in the same effort. But why place such restrictive things on your personal property? That makes no sense at all. I'm struggling to figure out what their motive is behind this. The government's motive is always control, more taxes, or control. So there can only be one of those two.
Yeah, it's exactly right. I mean, I always find it comical here in America, and it's the same in other places, but especially in America, when politicians run for re-election, I sponsored and had written into legislation 23 laws. Really? A law is meant to control, to restrict, to take away freedom and liberty. That doesn't mean we shouldn't have laws. It just means that we don't need legislators every legislative session getting 23 new laws put in. That's not a point of pride. I mean, if I would like to be Donald Trump, on day one, I rescinded 10,000 unnecessary, duplicative, ridiculous, economic crushing restrictions on our economy by signing an executive order and struck them from the federal code. Now that's an accomplishment. There you go. Of course, the left will be like, well, but you polluted our rivers and our skies, and all the dinosaurs are dead now because of you. No, the dinosaurs died a long time ago, sweetheart.
Yes,
now they're birds. Now they're birds.
Yes, they are. Interesting that they look like birds. My sister's just rearing two chicks that were cut or dropped out of their nest, and as young things without feathers, they certainly do look like dinosaurs.
They do.
It's quite bizarre.
Well, these days, when it comes to rugby, the Kiwis, they look like dinosaurs. Ooh, they look like dinosaurs too. Couldn't
Indeed.
resist that one. But anyway, the Springboks don't look much better, so I don't have much room to talk. But all right, Rob, let's shift gears a little bit here. So something I've cautioned people about for a long time, and let me set this really quickly and then get your response to it and tell us what DearSA is doing. So a few years ago, people started freaking out because after 2 decades of every time some idiot in the African National Congress proposed a bill to expropriate property without compensation, EWC, expropriation without compensation, the ANC voted it down roundly every time. And then suddenly, when the EFF got to 10% in elections, they got nervous and they changed their tune overnight when Ramaphosa came in, and suddenly they supported expropriation without compensation. This thing was defeated because it violates Section 25 of the Constitution. But they're trying to bring it back now as a law. But the law is going to be unconstitutional. And they're trying to tell me they're overturning a 1993 apartheid era law. Anyway, but both of those laws conflict with the Constitution. The Constitution is the basic law. If a law is not in agreement with the Constitution, then it's unconstitutional, and you ignore it. Whether it was from the apartheid era or it's from the ANC era, it doesn't matter. The Constitution is the law of the land. Anyway, so what I've cautioned people about with this is that, everyone's talking about land. It's not the previous bill was not about, or constitutional amendment was not about land. It's about property. Property includes real and intangible property, stocks, bonds, savings accounts, certificates of deposit, gold bullion, coins, Krugerrands, your car, your clothing, your home, your flat, your condo, your land. All of that is property, and all of that can be taken without just cause by a rapacious political party that steals it. And what I've cautioned people about, what this is really about, is political power, naked political power. Because if you oppose the government of the day, if you have the temerity to say something about the ruling party, whether it's the ANC today or the DA tomorrow, they will threaten, or they'll simply take your property and impoverish you, and you'll have nothing to say about it. And that's my concern. Now, that's my statement on that. That's where we were. But now they're proposing a law. It's gone through the National Assembly. It's been approved between the EFF and the ANC to expropriate, I think, land. I don't know if it's land or property, and I need your help on this, Rob. So where are we at? Because it hasn't gone to the provincial legislature, or the second body of the bicameral legislature. It has to go through there. Yeah. But people keep acting like it's been passed. It has been passed, but it looks good to get it passed. But where are we at, and is it property, or is it just land this time?
No, this time it's just land. It's actually a bill that was in circulation for quite some time, which allows the state to expropriate land with compensation in the public interest. So if a highway or freeway was to be built, or a servitude or electricity pylons need to be erected on, and your land is in the way, then they can expropriate your land and offer you market-related prices for it. And that was all catered for in the Constitution and in the existing expropriation bill. But what the amendments have done is they have put in a clause now that says land can be expropriated, and it's specifically land. It's not property. Land can be expropriated with null compensation, and they cleverly use the term null compensation, not without compensation. So they've had to establish a land court as well, and there's a whole land courts bill that was approved about a week before this expropriation bill was also approved by the National Assembly. And that land court bill caters for the establishment of land courts, how they will operate, and how they will handle disputes and resolutions and so on, to smooth out the process of land expropriation in the case of null compensation, as according to this bill. But that is still a major issue. The bill is absolutely unconstitutional. There's no doubt about that, because the Constitution specifically states that land can only be expropriated with just and equitable compensation. So how they will overcome the constitutionality of that, I have no idea. I don't believe they will. And this will definitely open it up to a court challenge. I suspect there will be 2 avenues of attack. I know we'll be involved in definitely one of them. The first one is already on the cards. That's taking the adoption of the bill to court to challenge the actual adoption of the bill in itself. And the second one will probably take place when the first expropriation with null compensation does occur. So during that process, the land court will have to deal with that, because according to the bill, You have to go through that whole process. First, if no resolution can be found in the land court, then you can approach the other courts all the way up to the Constitutional Court. So I think that's more than likely the way it will go. Have a proper case there, test it in the land court, and so on. I think actually Ramaphosa did mention that. He said that the only way to test this is in the courts. So he's probably inviting that. They know this bill is unconstitutional, but they're going to push their luck anyway.
No, exactly. Well, we see it here all the time. In fact, just yesterday, a federal court struck down this abomination known as DACA, the Deferred Arrival of Dependent Children. In other words, criminal alien invaders come across, they bring their children here, and then they're not caught by the government for years, and now they're here, and it's not fair to send them back to their place of origin, or they're born here. And, well, that makes them American citizen under our stupid interpretation of the law, which is invalid. But anyway, DACA was struck down, and Joe Biden is running around and freaking out about it. And but the bottom line is that DACA was unconstitutional. The President of the United States did not have the authority to do that. He overrode the Constitution, and he's gotten away with it since 2010. And millions of criminal alien invaders live in our midst who have no business being here. And I'm sorry if it's heartless that they grew up here. That's not my fault that their criminal parents brought them across the border illicitly and the authorities failed to eject them. That's not my fault. We can make a combination. We can have compassion for people who, say, came here at the age of 2 and only know America. But, you know, these people have not even made the positive step and effort to apply for citizenship or permanent residency. So if you've been here for 15 or 20 or 30 years and you haven't applied for residency, we've had 3 amnesty periods since the 80s in which these people could have gotten away with not being shipped out of the country. I have no empathy for you. And anyway, the point is that it's overreach by the government, in this case Obama and Biden, trying to criminally allow people to stay in this country. And what you're saying is that this is a violation of the Constitution, Section 25 to be specific, and I agree. Yeah. Expropriation, and it is clever. They're trying to be funny. There is compensation. It's nil. That's ridiculous. Now this is yes. Now I read through some parts of it. They're talking about, well, it's only going to be on land that isn't in use. Well, if I own a forestry land, it's not in use if I'm not cutting timber. I'm just letting the trees mature. So does that mean you get to take it? That's just ridiculous. Here's the thing. The South African Constitution, as you mentioned, allows for expropriation with just compensation. This has been a mechanism been available to the African National Congress for 28 years. And they have bought land over the last 28 years, but their program of land management, land distribution, of extension services, of credit, of training, of agricultural advice for those who they hand the land over to is abysmal or non-existent, and that's why this is a continuing issue here. Also, they're falsely painting the story of land as if 43 million black South Africans are demanding farms. No, they're not. Most black South Africans simply want to own the plot that they live on or own land for a house. Some would like to be farmers, and some of them have been helped, especially by commercial farmers and white commercial farmers in particular in the Western Cape, KZN, and in Gauteng. And I know some of these farmers who've helped black farmers when the South African government has done nothing for them. So, I mean, I think everything I just said is pretty accurate. Is anything you refute or disagree with?
Yeah, it's absolutely spot on. And to add to that, in the whole land restitution process, a significant majority, in fact, I'd say, I can't remember the actual figures, but it was over 90% of land claimants opted for cash instead of the land.
Yeah. Now that's
that just shows you the desire for land isn't there.
Right. That's a good point. I'm glad you finished your point there. But it also, now we can talk about that, and we can say, was it fair, just compensation? That's a legitimate argument to have, I think, because the payoffs that the government gave, I think, were ridiculously low in some cases. But that's a fair argument. But that's not even the argument being put forward. The argument being put forward is a fraudulent argument about land, because you just confirmed what I've said. You know, the original window for making land claims was incredibly generous. And we should go back to CODESA, the Convention for Democratic South Africa, at which Cyril Ramaphosa was the lead negotiator for the ANC, a nothing party until they started a civil war in the 1980s. You know, of course, they disappeared from existence. No one saw them from 1962 after the Rivonia trial until they came back from Vietnam in 1979 and started rabble-rousing and necklacing people, and suddenly they got attention. And then, of course, the media pimped and promoted the kidnapper and extortion embezzler Winnie Mandela and made her into an international figure. Anyway, but before that, the ANC was a to nothing. So the ANC, we saw that Sir Ramaphosa was lead negotiator at CODESA. At the CODESA summit, the agreement was that no claims for land before 1910, which in my view is a pragmatic, practical, honest, and fair position. Because there was no South Africa before 1910. There was the Transvaal Republic, there was the Orange Free State, there was the Natal Colony, the Cape Colony, the Zulu Kingdom, the Xhosa Kingdom, and others. And in 1910, the British Parliament, for good or bad, created the Union South Africa Act and created South Africa. So that was, I think, a good starting point. And the original deal, 5 years to submit a claim, and it didn't have to be on behalf of yourself. If it was your parents or your grandparents or great-grandparents who were defrauded of land, and there's a super chat from Chris Wyatt says, get a root beer for Rugby Senate commentary. Thank you. Yeah, I got 7
Hey,
rugby.
Chris.
I've got 7 rugby games I'm calling this weekend, so it's going to be a long weekend. First game tomorrow, then 3 games tomorrow night until 4 o'clock in the morning, and then at 10 o'clock until 4 o'clock, and then it's just gonna be crazy. Anyway, yeah, well, I'm trying to build that channel, and I'm trying to cover these games. World Cups are important. I'm supposed to be in New Zealand, actually, at the games, but I didn't go. Anyway, so back to this story. So the whole thing is that this was the agreement. It was written into the Constitution, and the ANC has failed on delivering land. They've made ridiculous no efforts. The amount of money they lavish on the failed South African Airways is comical when you consider the few $1 million they apply to land purchases. If they'd taken that money and went to buy land, by the way, if anyone thinks land's not available, you need to check out Pam Golding or any of the real estate agents in South Africa. There are thousands of farms for sale right now in South Africa, all over the country. You can buy a sheep farm in the Karoo. You can buy a wine estate in the Western Cape. You just have to have money or a way to borrow money with collateral. So this whole argument about land is just fraudulent in my view. There's no merit to it whatsoever. Thoughts? Answer the question.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's totally it's blown out of proportion, and it's become a political tool. And I think anyone could have predicted this would happen in right at the beginning of the election cycle. I think I actually said that I was on another radio show, and the whole topic of the EWC came up, and I actually mentioned that it had gone quiet everywhere. The amendment to the Constitution was put aside and shelved. In fact, the section 25 of the Constitution there was proposed, or the amendment was proposed in a 18th Amendment bill. So the 18th Amendment bill has now become the addition of sign language as an official language. So it's definitely been put aside. However, I did say that there was rumors and chat in Parliament around the expropriation bill, and lo and behold, next week it comes up and it surfaces, and it's to me it's just a political football. That's all they're doing. They're using it as a vote winning tool, as they have in the previous elections, and it will just keep going. I believe they'll just kick the can down the road, keep it on a promise basis, and for potential voters, and probably the ANC will probably adopt the EFF's approach in the last election and base it all around, we're going to give you land, we're going to give you free land and teach you how to work on it, and so on, because as you said, everybody wants to be a farmer and everybody knows how to farm. Imagine that. Electricity and water problems in South Africa, and you want to be a farmer. Good luck with that. But
well, I mean, first off, we should point out that only 12% of South Africa is actually arable. The surface area of South Africa, only 12% is arable. So, first off, the ANC's asinine plan to put 1 million black Africans on farms is ludicrous to begin with, because we're talking about subsistence farming. And if it's anything like what they did in Zimbabwe, where they stole farms from people who purchased farmland after Mugabe became president with their consent, when they stole the farmlands, they simply just took the strings, laid them out, and broke it in little parcels. So 80% of the people had no access to water because they weren't near the creek. And most of them had no access to improved facilities like roads and trails. So they'd walk over other people's land or get in fights or beg or pay for access to get their stuff in and out and access their land. It's just absolutely ridiculous. This is what happens when idiots run governments. And you know, we know, of course, South Africa's government is a bunch of idiots. I mean,
I think any government is, but South Africa's in particular.
Yeah, exactly. They're making an art of the whole thing. It's actually becoming a science now in South Africa, how idiot it is. But listen, you mentioned being another program, and I did hear in another program that I was unaware of this, but apparently I understand that DearSA has unlimited resources and you've been funding AfriForum. Is there any truth to that? Answer the question.
I love those rumors. I absolutely love those rumors. Yeah, because it makes economical sense for a small operation with, like DearSA, with eight staff members to fund an operation like AfriForum, which has round about 300,000 members now.
Something like that.
Makes perfect economic sense. Anyone who believes that is a loon. Quite honestly, is a total loon.
So there's no truth to the rumor that the Gettys, the Rothschilds, and Colonel Sanders have been funding your operations.
Hell no. I wouldn't be experiencing load shedding now if that was the case, that's for sure.
You'd have solar farms and wind turbines out there. By the way, wind turbines, if you place them low enough, they make great farm defense tools. So when they try to reach
that's true.
I'm just saying, especially the Eastern Cape or along the coast, put that thing down close to the ground. We'll see how many people try to come on your farm.
Absolutely brilliant. Chris, I had one other thought.
Yeah.
Just before we move off that topic of the expropriation thing.
Yeah.
Government could use this as to fulfill social services, which they are struggling to do, and they know they have no idea, no resources, and no clue how to do it. A good example would be the NHI. Government desperately wants to implement an NHI, and they don't have the resources. All state health facilities that have collapsed. They even though they've pumped billions into them, they're still not functional and never will be. So the easiest way to implement the NHI, the easiest and quickest and most simplest way, would be to expropriate an existing, let's say, private medical aid or private hospital network or something like that. They could probably do it through this bill, because all they have to do is expropriate the head office of such an operation, and there we go. They have the business as well that's attached to the land.
No, it's an interesting thought. There is no money, and we've already seen what happens when government intrudes in healthcare with the disastrous, as I call it, the Unaffordable Care Act here in the United States, when Barack Obama violated the Constitution and Congress by passing a law and signing legislation that made Americans pay a fee to be an American citizen. Meanwhile, criminal alien invaders in our midst, and they get free healthcare, and we subsidize that, but we have to buy insurance or we are criminals. Now, that the government has no right, there's nothing in our Constitution that can force the government to make us buy a good or service, but that's exactly what they did. And all of it did was corrupt the insurance marketplace. Instead of reforming the insurance marketplace, it corrupted it. Over 20 million working Americans lost their health care insurance, and most Americans who had health care wound up paying 2, 3, 4, 5, 600% more for insurance. I know people making $60,000 a year that have $8,000 a year in health insurance coverage now, and they don't even get full coverage. They still have a deductible. They still have limits on what they can do, limits on how many times they go. If they see a doctor more than so many times, it's ridiculous. They corrupted the marketplace when what they should have done is fixed it. What they should have done is made health insurance like car insurance. If I drive from Pennsylvania to Florida, my insurance company covers me if something happens. If I have an accident, if I hit somebody hits me, I'm covered. The insurance is tied to me. It's not tied to my place of employment. It's not tied to it's based on where you live, because some places are more dangerous to drive in New York, San Francisco than other places. But it is there are factors, so that's fair as to the cost. But if I leave the Army, I didn't lose my car insurance, but I lost my health insurance. Now, that's a problem. Health insurance should be tied to the individual, not tied to their employment. And that's what they try to do, but they screwed this thing up royally, and they've just made it so much more expensive. Insurance companies have made a fortune off of it, although they have buyer's remorse because the restrictions force them to pay for a lot of things they didn't have to pay for before. So they're actually, a lot of them are losing money. But it's just a mess. It didn't do anybody any favors, and it just destroyed healthcare. And if that comes to South Africa, the same thing will happen. The end of private care, for those who can afford it, they're not going to be able to get proper care either. It's really a sad situation.
Yeah, and I think it's even worse than financial. If you look in the UK, where they have
the NHS,
the NHS, you have to wait. You can only go to certain doctors and certain specialists, and the waiting time is over 3 months.
People die for care,
Yeah.
waiting for oncology and things like that. And the same thing in Canada. They die for care. Yet leftists, oh, they have social medicine. They always put up Germany. But that's a lie. Germany doesn't have social medicine. Germany has a dual tier system. They have private medicine, and if you can afford it, you get first class care. I got it when I had a polyp in my nose that used to bleed all the time. I mean, it didn't bleed. It was like watching Carrie, the movie. Blood came flying out. I mean, it terrified people at times. I got so accustomed to it, I just tried to make sure it didn't get on my suit or my uniform. But finally, after 7 years of the Army going, well, put this salve in your nose. It's just dried out. And then I go stand in line an hour and a half at the pharmacy, even though I have priority because I'm in uniform, during my lunch, standing for an hour and a half. My entire lunch hour is gone waiting to get to the pharmacy. I get up there. We keep telling the doctors we don't carry this. Can you go back to the doctor and get another script? Oh, yeah. It took me 2 weeks to get an appointment. I'm active duty. You're supposed to be here for military, not for other people. And now you want me to be on the phone for an hour and a half, to wait for an appointment for 3 weeks down the road when I'm actually going to be on duty in Africa, and then come back and tell a doctor who's too stupid to pay attention to people who are down the hall from him that this is the wrong medicine. Anyway, it's the same thing here. I just went to a private referral for dermatology for the breakout on my face before I went to South Africa, and they prescribed something that isn't carried by the pharmacy. So the pharmacy wouldn't give me there was a cream or a paste or whatever. They wouldn't give me the other one because the doctor had to say I could use that. Well, they contacted the doctor and they never answered. And here it is, 3.5 months later, I still don't have the medicine. I still haven't got care. And that's, anyway, this is what happens when governments run healthcare. They don't know what they're doing. They're just bureaucrats. They're pencil pushers.
Exactly.
If they were talented, they would be in healthcare. If they were smart about land, they would be foresters or farmers or something like that, not government bureaucrats or politicians.
Yeah, exactly. Once again, it's government overreach, and government should just stay out of it. My view is privatize everything. Absolutely privatize everything. You create competition, you bring the prices down. Government can regulate prices and so on, but they shouldn't get involved in the actual businesses at all.
Now we differ on that one, Rob. I don't think government should regulate any prices. I mean, look at South Africa. Your petrol price is regulated, and basically it puts petrol station owners in a great disadvantage. Sometimes they make money, sometimes they lose money because the government sets a price. I have real issues with government setting the price. The United States, we had the Office of Price Administration back during the Second World War. It's an abomination. I understand why they did it, because it was a very specific thing. There was a war going on, but they kept that for years after. It took a long time to dismantle that. And the price of gasoline in this country was regulated by the government up until the 70s. And what happened? We went from being the world's largest producer of petroleum all the way up from the advent of the modern petroleum industry with Titusville, Pennsylvania, right here in western Pennsylvania, the first commercial oil well was struck. We went from being the largest oil producer for a century to being a net importer, and then people standing in 3-day-long queues to buy gasoline, petrol, in 1973 when the Arabs embargoed us over the Yom Kippur War because of a war that Israel was involved in which they attacked Israel, and then they wouldn't sell us oil because they attacked Israel. How stupid is that? Anyway, so government price control. So, we wound up because the reason I mention that is that there was no money to be made in the industry, because you couldn't make a profit. The government would set and it would keep you at very low margins. Meanwhile, Apple sells their crappy phones at 70% profit margins by slave labor in China. Nobody's complaining about that, but they're complaining about petrol stations. Anyway, it's a long thing there. But my point is that I hate price controls. Let the market decide. The market is the perfect mechanism. If something is dear and in short supply, then it's pricier. If it's in wide availability, then it's going to cost less. If people don't want it, then they're gonna sell it, and they're going to mark down the price. And that the free market is the best answer in my view. And I don't know. Maybe I misunderstood you there. So I just want to say that I hate price controls.
Yeah, no, I was thinking we had an issue in South Africa where the major bread producers, bread companies, the bakeries, actually colluded together and then set the prices way higher than what they should be. That's a different
story. Now, that's the role of government. The role of government is to ensure a level playing field. When you have an oligarchy that colludes to keep prices artificially high, the government must intervene, or you have monopoly. Yeah. That's exactly right. But when you force independent producers to sell something at below cost, you simply drive them out of the marketplace, and then the item becomes scarce.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, we're going to run out.
Someone closing the door there.
Oh, I was going to say, we're going to run out of time here in a few minutes because you got to go. But I'm going to stay on air once you leave. But Rob, listen, before you do go, I just want to thank you again for, it was very generous of you to offer a ride and to take me and to be my companion on the garden route. It was much more interesting for me.
It was a great time.
But it was much more interesting for me because I got a chance to actually take photographs and take in the scenery, which I would have done driving, but I might have been a road hazard. You hear a truck. Whoa!
You might have been a road hazard anyway.
Yeah. I might have been. I might have met my end in the Eastern Cape or on the garden route, but. It says my internet connection's unstable. What the heck is that? Anyway, but yeah, Rob, so thank you so much for that. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And it was, like you said, the meet and greet at Tapas was epic. I really enjoyed that night. It was a lot of fun. Even though Ronaldo tried to steal the show, he thought it was his meet and greet.
As he does. It was good. It was absolutely wonderful. And good people as well.
Yeah, the people were fantastic. It was really great to meet some of those folks. Well, all of those folks was great to meet, but some of them have been with the program for a long time, so that was really special. And I have no regrets about doing it. Ronaldo suggested I do it. I thought about it before Ronaldo suggested, but the problem is that it's logistically it was a lot more. Plus there was cost. I had to fly there. Then I was going to have to hire a car. But you saved me the resources on that. I didn't have to hire the car, and then I had to anyway. But it turned out to be brilliant. But I got to tell you, after that trip, I was absolutely knackered. A month from boom, from one place to another.
I don't know how you did it, Chris. I really don't know how you did it.
It took a lot of energy.
It was fascinating.
I mean, I had brown hair before this trip.
Yes. I had hair before your trip.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Before Rob and I rode together, he had a full head of hair. Yeah, but Hank says that Pretoria kicked ass. Well, and that's in no small measure thanks to you, Hank. Don't be so modest. Hank, he allowed me to park my vehicle after coming from Herman Ruis's place at his property, which meant it was safe, so he could give me a ride. Took me in to meet with Bantu Holomisa, which was epic. And then from there, took me up to Hammanskraal. We visited the orphanage and school up there. And then he took me back into town, and so I could check into my hotel that Bantu paid for there, the Sun. And then took me back to get my car, and then from there I went to Steve Hofmeier's place. And Steve Hofmeier's pin, like so many pins in South African Google, was rubbish. so I drove down this dark road in load shedding and very narrow with big trenches for drainage on the side. And I'm like, I'm going to get robbed and raped. That's what's going to happen here. I'm like, the pin says I'm here. And I call up Steve's friend and my friend. And I'm like, listen, Greg, there's no, if there's a braai here, you're doing it in the dark because I see no flames. And he said, oh, no, the pins are always bad. We'll come get you. And the irony is that I had gone to the street, the next intersection, T-junction, and I turned into there to turn around and come back to go back to the spot where it said the pin was. If I had just stayed going in the direction I was going, back up the hill right there, I was 100 meters from the house on the other side of the property, and all I had to do was drive up. But now, next time I know if I go back to Steve Hofmeier's house. Anyway, Rob, thanks a lot. You've got to go, but in case anybody's interested, on your channel, I put the link down there. I didn't realize that DearSA had a YouTube channel. You occasionally do videos, and you'll be talking to Daniel about this expropriation. Daniel's been a guest on my program before, and also was helpful in getting that seat and getting us an advocacy group to help take care of the Forum for Democrats up there in Zeerust. Yeah. But anyway, so you're taking off. You want to mention that very quickly in case anybody wants to go over there. Other folks are welcome to stick here if they'd like, or go watch it after the fact. In fact, I encourage you to watch Rob's broadcast after it's over. Stay here. Anyway, go ahead, Rob.
Well, how do I compete with that now?
Well, I don't know. But go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, we're just having a quick chat with Daniel Elof from Hurtisby's attorneys about the expropriation bill, the consequences thereof, and so on. We might also bring up the Protection of Constitutional Democracy Against Terrorism bill, which is quite a controversial piece of legislation that's just been put out for public comment, or actually extended for public comment now. And that bill pretty much makes anyone who talks against government or opposes government or even criticizes government, you could be labeled as a terrorist, and the government can shut you down.
Sounds like America.
It does.
Parents who oppose their children being told they're racist are domestic terrorists.
Yeah, the US of SA.
Yeah, there you go. Oh my goodness. All right. Well,
that could be a terrifying
let me let you go then, Rob. Thanks a lot for coming on with this. It's good to get back into flow. Maybe we can try to get back to doing it weekly like we used to do, but we'll see. But it's been 2 months, and of course that's because of my trip to South Africa. So thanks a lot, Rob Hutchinson from DearSA. Appreciate your time and being my co-host of the program. Chris. And we'll see you
next week.
Maybe next week.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Good luck
Please
with your
put
broadcast.
It in my diary.
Right.
Lovely. Thanks,
I'll let you drop off, Rob. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, folks, that's Rob Hutchinson from DearSA, and he's trying to drop off. There he goes. He's off. Yeah, so thanks to Rob. Appreciate him being on the program. It was nice to have him. So, folks, a few things for me to talk about here. Should I leave this? Okay, let me ask this. I'm going to do a poll real quick. Should I keep this window open? Okay. Should I keep the Zoom green screen or go back to my camera? All right, so I just do a poll, and I will abide by whatever you guys come up with here. It's pretty cool, but it's distracting for me where the background fades back and forth. So there's a poll. Oh, shoot. I meant to do a poll on that. So let's do the poll. How did I do that? Copy. Okay, there's the poll. Okay. Hang on. Paste. Keep. Change. Okay, so let's see. Change. All right, so there's the poll. You can answer the poll now, and I see 3 people have left. 2 people left. Anyway, there's the poll, folks. Give you a chance to vote on it for a couple minutes. Do I keep the green screen with Europe and its light pollution on there, or do I switch to my regular camera? Anyway, there's a few things to talk about here as far as the news. I want to talk about a couple things. First off, Joe Biden is not happy that DACA, the Deferred Arrival of Dependent Children, or whatever it is, DACA is unconstitutional. And the interesting thing about the court, the Fifth Circuit Court, did not strike, they said it's unconstitutional, but they are not going to take action to remove or to tell the government to remove the people that are here illegally. So the bottom line is that they overstepped their reach, is what happened with the Obama administration and with the Biden administration in applying this illegal executive order, which had no authority of law, violated our Constitution, and they got away with it for 12 years. It's about damn time that the courts start standing up. You know, the demon rats and the leftists abused the court system to change our voting laws across the country, to bring in the abomination of mail-in balloting. They also abused the courts every time Donald Trump said or did something within his authority. They went to the court to get an injunction. And here's the funny thing. Barack Hussein Obama, when an injunction is issued against him, Joe Biden, when an injunction is issued against him, those guys, all they do is they ignore it. And they continue to commit crimes and violate the law until a judgment is made and it's solved. But Donald Trump, every time that the circuit court in San Francisco, what is it, the 9th or whatever it is, they came up with these leftist opinions and said he can't do this, he can't do that, he can't do this, he can't do that. He ceased and desisted until the court case was settled. That's because Donald Trump adheres to the rule of law, despite all the lies about him in the lawsuits, the fraudulent, fictitious, and erroneous and no standing lawsuits like Letitia James' lawsuit against him and his children. He's actually someone that actually follows the law. Yep. Anyway, if you change your video, will it be easier to edit the sections later? What pleases you? Well, I kind of like this. I just don't like how it blips back there. Like, you see the back of the chair disappearing and coming back. I just don't like that. And it's because the chair is blue. But yeah, let's see. The 3 blue background is lovely. Okay, the blue background. All right, so 30 votes and change. 57% say change. Keith, Joburg, and parts of Pretoria ran water. The reservoirs ran dry. Rugby balls in background is better, says Hank. All right. Let me see. What do we got on? We got 30 votes. I'm going to end the poll, and I'm going to change it because you guys said change it. Ha, 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 ha. So you're going to hear recording stopped because I'm going to stop recording and end the Zoom session. All right. So you can still hear me, though. So stop recording.
Recording stopped.
There you go. I'm going to end the session, not the program, just that video. And I see that a bunch of people left while I was asking that question. We went from 79 to 66. I wonder if they're over watching Rob. That's cool. All right, now it's time to turn on the camera, and here we go. Boom, there you go. Boom shakalaka, and just like this. Speaking of which, where's Boom shakalaka? I actually saw him at the Rugby World Cup in Cape Town, the Sevens World Cup, but I haven't seen him on program since. Are you watching us watching you? Yeah, I love this current blue background. Sorry there, Fiona, we dropped it for a second. If you were in Cape Town, I have about 100 different types of no ready for transplant. Huh? What's that? Anyway. Yeah, rugby balls are in the background. Thank you, Val. Load shedding switched on the hour. Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe we lost people because of load shedding. Good point there, Arctic. Thanks for your comments and questions on vaping, Arctic. I appreciate that. No, I'm not an expert on vaping. I am an expert on sweets, though. These are caramels. This was in South Africa. So I brought these back from South Africa. This was a gift in one of my bags. Ooh, they're not even wrapped in plastic. That's weird. Check that out. They're just put in the box. Okay. I've been conditioned to expect all my goods to be wrapped in plastic so that people can't do something fishy to them. That's interesting. Anyway. Maybe more rims. More rims. What are you guys doing? Anyway. Yeah. So I like the original and the autumn one. Yeah, the autumn one is is my background. So that's a fall photograph. That's beautiful, isn't it? That's what we get here in the United States in October. Right now, though, it's leaves haven't really begun to change. They're just starting to fall off the trees now. What happened to the penguin? What do you mean, what happened to the penguin? Oh, I took him down, didn't I? Yeah, I took him down because I was doing an interview with somebody and I wanted to look more serious. So where'd he go? Where's the penguin? He's here somewhere. Oh, here he is. Hang on. By the way, the penguin is actually it's a donation of sorts because the place that sold it at the airport makes money. The Chinese who put it together, they make money. And Sankob, that's the Penguin Sanctuary, they are the ones that sponsor it. So yeah, so here it is. It's the Penguin Sanctuary. There he is. So anyway, yeah, so that's from Sankob. So I bought this at the airport, and some of the funds go to save and rehabilitate penguins. No, not because they're hooked on tick or dacha or weed. The penguins aren't hooked on that. It's because they're injured or harmed, and so they rehabilitate penguins. Pretty cool, huh? Now, I didn't realize this, but one of their offices, their main office is like in Port Elizabeth, which is pretty cool. Although I bought this at the airport in Cape Town. I got the right one with the correct eye color here and little spots on the belly. That's a correct penguin. There are other ones there. Not like Ronaldo's candy. I don't do that sort of thing, Wolf. My view is if you need drugs to enjoy life, then maybe something's missing in your life. Did you get it from Ronaldo? You might. Yeah. No, this was from another viewer. It was part of a basket of stuff, and you know who you are, the person that gave me this. Anyway, but that stuff is hard as a rock, man. I'm gonna have to put it in a microwave and melt it down or something to chew it. So I'm at my flight medical. Doc said if you come back next year and still smoke, okay, gotcha. Been vaping 6 years, no issues. Well, there you go. So your health has improved, Arctic. Your health has improved as a consequence of not smoking. Well, I could have told you that. You don't need vaping for your health to improve, but your point is that helped you get over the cigarettes. Cool beans. That's awesome to hear. What else? I meant strains, of course. 15 strains. Oh, seed bags. Are you talking about weed? Are you guys talking about weed? Anyway, hit the like button, folks. We could use some more likes. It doesn't cost you anything.
That was easy.
Yeah. By the way, I received this thing in the mail from American Express, and it said, you can open a savings account, can take your future to new heights. Yeah, there you go. And they say a new higher rate. Higher rate. Well, okay, I like to say higher rate, but it's not a high rate. Look at that. That's what they're offering me, 1.75% annual percentage rate, which means it's not 1.75. It's actually lower than that, but over the course of the year, it comes out at 1.75 because you're on interest on interest on interest plus the principal. But 1.75%. Inflation's running at 30 or 40% here in the United States, eviscerating my retirement. And American Express is offering 1.75%. To be fair, that's about 1.5% higher than most banks are offering right now. So, but they're making 18 or 27% off of credit card purchases when people don't pay the bill in full every month. So they can afford to give me 1.75%. Remember very well when I rehabilitated penguins at Croat, caught a serious oil pollution. Washing them was quite an experience. Yeah, washing wildlife that's been caught in oil spills is something else because their feathers are damaged. It's a mess. Chris, the inside is soft. What, of the caramel or the penguin? The inside of the caramel or the penguin? Which one's soft? Chinese 5-color out of my garden. Okay, you guys are still talking about weed. Those sweets are supposed to be soft. I know. And you hear that? Listen. They're hard as a rock, man. Hard as rock. By the way, I need to get around to recording. Monty Jackson gave me 6 CDs and a DVD. I need to rip the CDs, but of course, this computer doesn't have a CD or a DVD player. They don't put them in anymore. I should have put one in. My most recent laptop doesn't have one, so I've got to revert to a laptop I've had for a decade that still has the CD player in it. Otherwise, I have to buy an external CD player and hook it up, put the drivers on, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, so yeah. Oh, not weed. Peppers. You're talking about peppers. Okay, thanks for that. I think I was talking about weed. People get excited about weed. I mean, I used to have a lot of people on this channel. That's one of the reasons why some of my viewers disappeared, because I'm not pro-weed. And they're like, oh, man, what's wrong with you? Yeah, it's just marijuana, man. It's cool. I'm like, well, I don't smoke weed, so I don't promote it here. So I'm sorry if you don't want to watch my show because I don't promote weed. That's on you. Little penguin is a jackass penguin. Yes, I know, Erica. It is a jackass penguin. And it reminds me of Joe Biden. By the way, has anybody seen my short I did just before the program? I don't know if anybody saw it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Hang on a second. By the way, Gideon will be on the program Sunday to talk about Second Amendment and firearms. That'll be Sunday at 5 p.m. South Africa time. Okay, so here you go. So I'm going to show you this video. I hope you like this, folks. I hope you like this. This should be pretty cool. Hang on. Let's see if it'll play now. It wasn't playing in this browser earlier, so... Something is wrong with my browser. It's not playing that video, but it will play over here. So let me get that one. Hang on a second. Paste and go. Okay, hang on. Yeah, for some reason, Firefox isn't working properly right now. Okay, at least 15 people watched it. So let me play this real quick. I'm going to have to use the window screen because it's not in the browser settings. So give me a second here. This is Joe Biden. So I hope, just hang on a second, folks. This is Joe Biden, and he's speaking to the public today.
Hi folks, I'm Joe Biden, NASA astronaut, NASCAR and National Stock Car Racing champion. You know, when I grew up in Scranton, Corn Pop used to tell me that I should run for president one day. And my dear friend John Glenn once told me that being president is a lot like being an astronaut. Someone else does all the hard work, you just go along for the ride. But listen here, folks, I shouldn't talk about that. I just want to talk today about a very important thing. If you're a MAGA Republican, you're a danger to the nation. That's what I've been told by my handlers. My staff. They told me that you're a threat to the nation. So my friend John McCain once told me that I was a great unifier. And so I'm here to unify everyone except half the country that's a MAGA Republican. And listen, folks, remember that if you don't have a slight Indian accent, you can't own a 7-Eleven in my home state of Delaware. Yeah, and if you don't vote for me, if you're black, you're not black. Hi, folks. I'm Joe Biden. NASA.
And I forgot to say on that video, I meant to say, because, you know, you're trying to time it for 1 minute, this message was paid for by Xi Jinping. The preceding message was funded by the Chinese Communist Party. Many mansions in most countries. But I was hungry one day when traveling on the tube train late at night and found 1/4 eaten Mars bar in a wrapper, 90% was left start. Oh, Keith, you took a risk. What if somebody put psychedelic drugs in that, man? The preceding message was paid for by the Chinese Communist Party. Oh, folks, you should see. Let me show you real quick. You should see what I got on tap on Rugby Ascendant this weekend. Let me just get to that real quick. Content. Okay, let me show you this. This is the inside the wire. You can see inside my account here if it loads, but YouTube is being difficult. Load. No, it's not loading. What the? Oh, there we go. Finally. All right, that's how long it took to load this up. Now, okay, here you go. Check this out. This is on my YouTube account. This is for this weekend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rugby games I'll be calling. Each is 2 hours. That's 14 hours of live broadcasting. I'll be knackered. Starting tomorrow, it's the Edinburgh side versus the Lions at home in Edinburgh. And then that's tomorrow afternoon here on the East Coast, tomorrow evening South Africa time, URC, United Rugby Championship action, followed by the Women's Rugby World Cup, which I'm supposed to be at but won't be. South Africa versus France. That's followed by, in the evening tomorrow night, Fiji versus England around midnight, and then Australia versus New Zealand in the featured match with Amy Barrett Thron, who is the official calling the game. She's a very good official. And then on Saturday, it's the Zebra versus the Stormers from Parma, Italy. Leinster versus the Sharks. The Sharks' luck will run out in this game. And then it's Glasgow versus the Bulls. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rugby games already I'll be calling this weekend. Woo! And 6 of those 7 are back-to-back games. That's going to be quite a stretch, folks. Hey, John Yankees, just tuning in. Good to see you there. Anyway, so lots of rugby this weekend coming up, folks. I hope that you can join me on Rugby Ascend and help me grow that channel. By the way, feel free to help DearSA's channel grow. They have just 1,000 subscribers if you want. Go on there. And then also, we've got other folks in the chat who have channels. Fiona has her channel, and you should check out her channel. And also, who else is here? It's got a channel. I'm looking to see if anyone else got a channel here. AT&T or Verizon or whatever for a white legal foreigner with 0 credit. Are you asking who to use for your mobile carrier? I have I had Sprint and T-Mobile. T-Mobile's pretty good, although there's a few things I don't like about it. I've had T-Mobile since it was VoiceStream. VoiceStream was the only GSM service in North America or in the United States at the time when I started my account 22 years ago or 21 years ago. I stuck with T-Mobile when they bought out VoiceStream, and I've had issues with them on occasion, but by and large, they're pretty good. Great coverage most of the place, especially urban areas, and very fast. The problem with Verizon and AT&T is that, if they're not GSM, then, and I don't know their current status, you really can't use them overseas, and they charge you a fortune. T-Mobile is an international company, whereas Verizon is not. AT&T is not either. Both are focused almost exclusively on North America, and that is a detriment in my view. So I go with T-Mobile. T-Mobile recently bought out Sprint, so Sprint is now T-Mobile, and that's why I had to get a new phone, because they switched over. So now I had to get another. I get a crappy Chinese phone. Anyway, so it's not crappy. It's pretty good. I still like their Chinese products, but this is a one phone. That's my, this one is my, what's that say? Hang on a second there. That's my Sprint phone, but it's owned by T-Mobile now, but it's still carried as a separate entity, just on the same network. So it's now GSM. They switched all the CDMA, code division multiple access, over to GSM. And so that's Sprint, and this is T-Mobile. And this one here is MTN and Vodacom. It's right. I have South African SIM cards in this one. So, whoops, it just told me answer the question was on. That's a reminder. But anyway, so yeah, this one has, I have it on air. So Vodacom, and it's on the Vodacom network right now through Wi-Fi. So I'm doing this to keep my accounts active. So when I come back to South Africa, I'll have to keep getting new SIM cards. Anyway, yeah, I used Sprint previously, but it was like $2 a minute to phone in South Africa. Well, Arctic, the answer is to use WhatsApp or Telegram for calls. That's the answer. Just get yourself an unlimited data plan with a provider, and then use those to call people. People should either be on Telegram or on WhatsApp, and then you can call them. I mean, I got screwed with this plan because I used to pay $5 a month. They raised it $10 a month for international calling, and for that I would pay, what was it? I think I got it was very 3 cents a minute, or then it was you got unlimited calling at no cost because you're paying the $10, and I called South Africa to sort out the meet and greet in Hermanus, which was never necessary as it turned out, and I got billed $3 a minute. So for 5 minutes of phone calls, I paid $15 US. That's a ripoff. And that's one reason I'm angry with them, because they're charging me $10 a month, and I hadn't made any phone calls in over a year internationally because I've been using Telegram, WhatsApp for everything. But I didn't have, I tried calling on Telegram or WhatsApp, but the guy's WhatsApp connection was bad. So I went with the mobile service to the landline, and it cost me $3 a minute. But as long as you know, but you got to watch all these companies. They try to gouge you that way. They charge me 25 cents for checking my voicemail in South Africa, even though it's over data. 25 cents. I wasn't happy about that, but all these phone companies do that. You just got to know. That was never a problem in the past. I never had an issue with that because I had that $10 a month, but I was trying to reduce my bill because this phone was like $1,500, and I bought it on credit, and I pay it off on each bill. But anyway, so there you have it. Did you get a chance to watch my video on how it was bought by my ancestor? No, I didn't, Fiona. I haven't seen that video. Why is their national calling so expensive? Because they can get away with it, HHH. Because they can get away with it. They steal money from people. When I was in Liberia, T-Mobile sent me text messages, and I only turn my phone on like once a week. And they sent me text messages telling me that my bill was available. I didn't ask for it. I never signed up for text messages. And then they charged me like $1 per text message. So I got a bill, and when I was in Liberia, it was $81 above my payment. And my phone was put into state in hibernation so that I wouldn't be using it. Yet they charged me because they sent me text messages. Oh, I went off on them. I ripped their backside on that. And I threatened to leave the company. They never gave me my money back, but they were still the only GSM carrier at the time, so I was kind of stuck. But their service is pretty good. Their network coverage is really good, although it can be a little spotty in some places. But that's every cell phone network. This is a massive country. It's impossible to get every spot. Sounds like Vodacom. Yep. Everyone has trouble with their phone carrier. If you don't have trouble with your phone carrier, you're not using your phone. To listen to John McClain. Who is John John McClain from yeah. Did you know that Eben Etzebeth is now what? No. Whoa. Unacceptable. What? What the heck? That's unacceptable. Why is he not with Stormers? Well, he's on my crap list now. I didn't know that. I was wondering where he was at. Huh. Well, that's just terrible. I didn't know that. A shark, that's just crap. That's crap. It's crap. Yeah, the problem here is the Sharks are amassing some players I like. Pepsi Buthelezi, Lucanio Am. They stole Sia Khaleesi, Eben Etzebeth, Werner Koch. I mean, I might have to start rooting for the Sharks. Ugh, that's terrible. What a conundrum. Avian flu hit our Pikawene hard. Chris, what was your favorite PC operating system? I've never really had a favorite PC operating system. I liked OS2. I liked Windows 98. I liked Windows 98. And what else? That's kind of it. I really haven't liked. Windows 10 was incredibly stable. That was the first Windows operate they actually liked. Sharks bought him. Oh, stop it, Wolf. 25 rand per text in Liberia. No, it was 25. Vodacom sends you 3 just to tell you you're in Liberia and you'll get charged. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I am liking the Chris Wyatt Rumble vids. Are you, Beth? Thank you. I can speak more freely on Rumble, and so I'll probably do another live stream on there. Let's see what the Penguin has to say. Listen, jackass, what should I do? Do another Rumble? Yeah, do another Rumble. Anyway, yeah, so the jackass Penguin says I should do another Rumble live stream. Just upgraded from Windows 7.8. I didn't even know it was a 7.8 to Windows 10. Well, now it's Windows 11. I can't put Windows 11 on this computer for some reason, and that's fine with me because Windows 11 is garbage. It's bloatware. It is slowed my laptop with 16 gigs of RAM down to a crawl. I can't do anything on it. It's crazy. Michael Holmes, do you think Democrats win the midterms? No, Michael. Even with cheating, they're not going to win. They're going to get obliterated. The question is, will it be just 40 seats or will it be the 100 that it should be? Sharks are using Western Province Stormers as they are fleshing. They are. Sia Khaleesi, Eben Etzebeth, all these Stormer players going to the Sharks. Of course, but the thing is, the Sharks are not very good. They may be taking all the Western Conference players, but they're not very good. Whereas the Stormers are defending URC champions and undefeated right now. So are the Sharks, but they've been lucky to win those 2 games. I liked XP because you could play pinball and solitaire on it. Well, you could play pinball and solitaire on Windows 3.11. It's your processor. Windows 11 only on some processors. Exactly, Arctic. That's what it is. It tells me I can't do it. I had the latest processor that was available when I built this machine in February of last year. The latest processor, high-end processor, and it won't run Windows 11. What kind of crap is that? Cost of living in Durban much lower than Cape Town. Yeah, it is much cheaper to live in Durban because it's a cesspool of refuse all over the streets. Oh my goodness, you should see the condition of Ushaka. That is a disgrace. That is a disgrace. Sharks using cheetahs, great colleges development. Everybody's using the cheetahs as a development team. That's for sure. They all steal them. You notice that Clayton Blomkies is playing for Western Province now, not the cheetahs. My goodness. Yep. And but it is interesting because Monty Libuk was a Shark and he came over to the Stormers, and it's been a great addition. So, yep. What was the most clean city in South Africa? Cleanest city that I saw in South Africa. I was actually surprised at how clean Port Elizabeth was, but it wasn't the cleanest. I would say the cleanest place that I saw in South Africa was either Uppington, where nobody lives, or Hermanus. Vintage computers. Well, John Yankees, you would love my basement. I have all sorts. I have a handheld computer that was produced by Commodore, which came out just before I went to the Gulf War over 30 years ago, and it's very small. It's a little laptop. Opens up. It's about that big when you open it up, and you can just do rudimentary things on it. I wrote a diary, a journal on there when I was in the Gulf War. Sandton was not clean. There was stuff laying around in Sandton. Uppington. Seen Ushak and Umlanga way too often. Don't drive to Ushak without my pistol. Sharks have a certain American backer. No, that's not true, Fleshin. No, that's not true. He's South African. He's based in America, and he made his fortune over here off our backs, but he is a South African, and his investment firm is the one that bought the Sharks. Yeah, so they were trying to buy the Stormers, but the Western Province Rugby Union screwed that whole thing up, so it was probably for the better, to be honest. Chris says the actual Apple Steve Jobs ate before he started the company. No, but I do have the original somewhere. I have the original. I don't know where it's at. I didn't get rid of it. The original MP3 player. No, actually, I don't have the original because I had to turn it in to get the discount on the second one. So I had the original one was blue. You could see through it. The second one was black. So I still have that. What was the dirtiest place in South Africa? Give us your top 5 places. Anything surprise you? What surprised me was the state of infrastructure. Dirtiest places? Oh gosh, I didn't really focus on that. Durban is filthy. It's absolutely filthy. It's horrible. Really bad. Durban was dirty. Joburg was dirty. What I saw of it. What else was dirty? I didn't really focus on that. It wasn't something I was looking at. So Renee is here practicing her Afrikaans, talking about prepaid on Verizon. An Apple Mac laptop for 11 years and hated it. Yeah, no, I never liked Apple. They're pretty crappy. So either load shedding is kicked in or people have left for... Is Ronaldo? Ronaldo's not on, so maybe it's Rob's channel. Let me just see how many people are watching Rob. Let me go over there. See how many people are watching Rob. So, curious. We dropped to 59 now. Yeah, Joe Emilio's on. He's got 13, and Rob's got 21. So those 34 are probably my viewers. Just kidding. Anyway. Yeah, so no, Democrats are not going to win in November. Don't hold your breath on that one. Just ain't going to happen, man. Ain't going to happen. So, not a snowball's chance. No matter what they do to try to pilfer, it's not going to happen. Maryland's still here. Ronaldo isn't on. No, Ronaldo's not on. I was checking Thursday. He used to do shows every day, but he only does them Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday now. So, yeah. Anyway. But, yeah, there you have it, folks. There you have it. So, oldest computer in my collection is the Apple II. That goes back a long way, John Yankees. The Apple II was like 1980 or something like that. That's a long time ago. Or 78. 78, I think, is the Apple II. Yeah, they'll prop up the markets to make people happy. Still here, but in the background says, hey, Erica, you changed your avatar. That's interesting. Have the mail-in ballots been sent out in county yet? Well, mail-in ballots are actually out in the state of Pennsylvania. They're already been sent out through the Postal Service, and, of course, people will be able to just put them in drop boxes. Yeah. 77. I said 78, 77. I was close, John. Thank you for correcting that. Yeah, so it's 77. Wow, that's 40 plus years old now. Does it still work? Still work. My stuff still works. I just have to charge them. Yeah, so, yep. So they can still win. Who can still win? I started with a Commodore 64. I used a Commodore CBM, and was short for Commodore Business Machine, and a PET, Personal Electronic Transfer is what it was called. Yeah, so that was the Commodores. I started using those in 1979, 1980 or thereabouts, yeah. It worked last time I checked. Cool, John, that's awesome. I had the first computer ever imported South Africa in early 77. I'll bet that cost a fortune. That must have cost a fortune in 77 to get the first computer that came into the country. That's just crazy expensive, I'm sure. Yeah, no, it's it's interesting to go back and look at old tech. Some of it's hard to part with because you spend so much time on it, but all of my PCs go away. I don't hold on to the PCs. I had my first PC was an IBM PS2 with no hard drive. My first my next PC was an AST, which was a Taiwan firm building computers back in the 90s. I got that one at the PX in Nuremberg around Christmas time, November of 1992, I think it was. After the AST, the next one that came out, I think might have been a Windows 95 machine. I picked up at Gateway when I went to their factory and bought one there, and it had problems right out of the gate. It didn't work properly right out of the gate. It was a very annoying process. But I bought it, Ted Waite's Gateway company. He became a billionaire. I wonder if he made that money before the company went away. But is Gateway still around? I wonder. Gateway Computers. Let's just look that up. Google's. It's probably gone now. I haven't heard about it in years. Gateway Computer. Let's see. Gateway. Oh, there's a link. Wow. Huh. Started in 1985. Yep. So they're still around. Select a region, United States. Why'd I have to select a region? Just take me there. Gateway, customer care, support, drivers, downloads. Okay, so I don't see any answers. It doesn't look like they sell anything. They sell Acer. Gateway. Previously, Gateway 2000, American computer hardware company, developed, manufactured, supported, marketed a wide range of personal computers. Computer accessories acquired by Hardware and Electronics Corporation Acer in October 2007. In 2020, Walmart announced a deal with Gateway in partnership with THX to revive the Gateway brand, launching various devices and tablets, convertibles, and budget laptops. So it hasn't been making computers since 2007. In 2006, its revenue was $4 billion and had 2,000 employees. By then, the headquarters had moved from Sioux City, Iowa to Irvine, California. Ted Waite was the founder, as I said, and Mike Hammond. I don't know who Mike Hammond is. I knew Ted Waite. Bald-headed guy. Independent from 85, 2007, and then part of Acer since 2007. So there you go. Gateway USA. So it's still around, but it doesn't... Ted Waite. Born in 63, is an American billionaire, philanthropist, co-founder of Gateway. 4 kids. Let's see what else. Labeled a maverick by National Business Technology Publications, he's gone on to form 4 enterprises that are his chief interest. Avalon Capital, wholly owned billion-dollar private investment company with diverse interest in technology, healthcare, yada, 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 yada. The Waite Foundation, Waite Institute, and Waite Institute for Violence Prevention, nonprofits. He served as chairman of the Salk Institute for Biological Services, 2016-2017. Originally joined their board of trustees back in 2004. Yep, so he was romantically linked to Ghislaine Maxwell after she ended her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. He owns homes in Hollywood Hills West, and he put up for sale for $20 million in 2015, and La Jolla, and he purchased that one for $13 million in 2005, put up for sale for $22 million in 2015. He owns a home in Beverly Hills. He is an honorary doctor from the University of South Dakota. One of America's 50 most generous philanthropists due to his work with the Waite Foundation. Yep, Ted Waite. So there you go. Yep, Gateway. They're going to revive it. It's going to come back. Gateway is going to come back. Interesting. So Gateway, that's why I bought a computer. Anyway, so Gateway, I bought the Windows 95 Gateway. It didn't work properly out of the box. Had problems with it. And then the next one I bought was a Windows 98 PC. And after that, it gets fuzzy. I bought so many different PCs over the years. I tend to primarily, until I bought this gaming machine, buy HPs after that. Bought a lot of HPs. So, yep. Oh, now we're down to 54 people. We haven't hit 100 likes yet, though. What's going on with that? Anyway, colons, / command life. Oh, MS-DOS, you know. Yeah, Shift F5, Control F7, you know. Oh, yeah, all that stuff. And they're still on computers. It's pretty cool. What are my PC specs, John Yankees? I've talked about that repeatedly. Let me just pull them up and take a look. Just so you know. Where is settings? There it is. Settings, system. I hate the way this is done. I want to see my. I hate this. I want the original ones. Come on, where is the? Give me the. I want to see the proper settings. I hate this. So this says system, and it won't tell me my darn. I don't want display. I want to know what my system settings are. It's annoying. I hate this. Okay. I want control panel. I want control panel. Let's see if it'll give me that. Control panel. Here we go. All right, control panel. There we go. That's what I want. System and security. Okay. Oh, gee, the crickets. Just give me my specs. Okay, here we go. Come on. All right, so I have an Intel i9 10900F CPU at 2.8 gigahertz. I have 32 gigs of RAM and 64-bit operating system, Windows 10. I have a 1 terabyte solid-state drive and a 2 terabyte hard disk drive. And what else? I have video card. Ooh, my video card rocks, man. No, it just doesn't let me go back. I hate this. Windows specs. System. Come on. Ugh. Stupid thing. Go to system here. See if it does. Okay. There we go. But it doesn't give me my video here. Display. I'm looking for the display settings here. Come on. Advanced display settings. See, this is, you got to go 9 places. I have an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060 Ti card with, I think I have 8 gigabytes of RAM on it. Yeah, so it's a pretty awesome video card too. Yeah, anyway, so it's hard to find the specs. It used to be Windows, you just pull it up and get all your specs right there. Now this idiotic thing, you've got to go through 95 different things. Ugh. Anyway, so there you go. It's control panel home. There you go. Yeah, anyway, so that's, does that help you out there? I just answered the graphics card. It's an NVIDIA. Yep. So, yeah, no, it's a custom-built gaming machine. I have all those specs written down somewhere, and it's easier when I'm in the BIOS that tells you all that stuff. But it's got a coolant system in it. It's got, I think, 6 fans in there, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Medupe power station's offline. Oh, that's awesome. Let's check that out. How do you know that? Is that on Twitter? Google. So Medupe power station. News. They need 33 billion to finish it. 80% of smokes are illegal now, tax-free. I love the way the second changes stages, but the outages often remain the same. Yep. CB says that's a serious computer. It is. It is. And I still have challenges, but it's mostly my internet provider. It's not the computer. I've only had 1 or 2 small problems. What's your favorite caliber? Of what? People? I like honest people. I missed a lot. Poor sin with Vodacom. Sorry, Emery. Sorry you missed a lot, but it'll be there. You can go back and watch Rob. I think you'll find that interesting. Thanks to 54 people here and the 87 who pushed the like button. I do appreciate that. My first proper computer was a compact Presario. I remember those compact Presarios. Yeah, I had a compact in the house once. HP bought out compact. My question with the tobacco is, can government afford the loss in tax if people stop smoking? Well, Shaq, well, they've lost a lot of taxation through illicit cigarette trade, so they're already missing that revenue now. So check out Google Speech, okay? I have NVIDIA GTX 3070 and 64 gigs of RAM, but no solid state. No, I think it's actually 16. I said, let me look and see what it says about my video card. How many RAM is on there? Video 3RIV. I hate Windows 10 trying to find stuff. Okay, let me see. Devices. No, that's not what I want. I want system. I want display, but it doesn't tell me my freaking information there. It's got. Here we go. Okay. Graphics settings. Nope, that doesn't help me. I hate this. It's so freaking juvenile the way they set this up. It's not telling me how many RAM are on there. Actually, I know how to find it. I'll just go to my email from when I ordered the darn thing. I'll read that to you. That's the way to do this, instead of playing this stupid game. All right, let me just go to my email, and I'll go, because I know. So, let me see what this thing was. What is this thing called? I buy computers. When did I buy that? So, I buy. I think it's under shopping is where I put it. So, PC. Just look. I forget. It's been so long since I looked this. Where did I put it at? That's not there. So it's not iBuy. So I think it must just be under my shopping folder. Let me try this. I buy you. Okay. I buy power. That's what it was. I buy power. That's the company I made it from. I buy power. Come on. Oh my goodness. I got so many ads here from them. They're selling me ads all the time. I haven't bought a computer from them in ages. Come on. 21. Here we go. Okay. I buy power. There we go. Thank you for your order. December 31st, 2020. All right. So this is what I got. I got tempered glass gaming case, Intel Core i9 10900F processor, 10 times 2.8 gigahertz, 20 megabytes level 3 cache, memory 32 gigabytes of DDR4-3000 modules. NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060 Ti. It is only 8 gigabytes. I thought it was more. You got a huge video card there, man. The one I bought, when I bought it, it was $600 for that video, or $800 for the video card. I didn't pay that, though. 1 terabyte Seagate Fire CUDA. And the read speed is 5 gigabytes per second. And the write speed is 4.4 gigabytes per second. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Secondary hard drive is 2 terabyte with 256 megabyte of cache, 7,200 RPMs. Yeah, 6 gigabytes a second. Premium sound card on board. Windows 10. What else? So, 850 watt power supply. Yeah. Yeah. Motherboard is an Asus Prime Z490p. A good motherboard, but not the best motherboard. And I got a gaming bundle, which never came. These bastards didn't send it to me. I was supposed to get a Q3 Galactic gaming bundle, and I never got it. They sent me some other garbage after the fact. I hate it. Anyway, but it was a special. And yeah, so it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I did a whole thing on this, but you weren't a viewer back then, about I call it the Beast. It was not cheap. I used my YouTube revenue and money out of my own pocket to buy this machine. But yeah, December 31st of 2020 is when I bought it. Yep. There you go. So yeah, status on your iBuy Power order. What's this? Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, iBuy Power. I had never bought from them, but I searched around. It looked like a really good choice. Turns out it was. Very happy with what I got. Amazon Drive will no longer be available on December 31st next year. What the hell is this? For customers only concerned about managing photo, please use Amazon Photos moving forward. Do not delete your photo from your drive if you would like to access them through Amazon Photos. What the hell is that? App storage removal, October 3rd. So Amazon is getting ready to Amazon Drive. See, this is why you can't trust these companies. They just take stuff away. I used to love Picasa. Picasa was a fantastic application, and then Google bought it and they destroyed it and turned it into Google Photos, and it's just garbage. It was free and you had unlimited storage, and then Google lied and said if you have an account existing, you get unlimited storage as long as you accept that it's at the resolution we say, which I did. And then they limited me to 15 gigabytes when they started charging. Now I pay for 100 gigabytes per year, and I already have 100 gigabytes stored there. It's not very much storage space. I still use what's the one from Kim.com, the thing he set up there, Mega, out in New Zealand. I still use that, but that's not a particularly useful one. So anyway, Chris Ellingson, I missed the power switch on the IBM XT, dual floppy drives, amber monochrome display, text-based games. I think one was called Adventure. I used to play text-based games. I will get an SD one day, Arctic. Yeah, I have that, and I also have a second one here. Where the heck's it at? I have a second SD drive sitting on the floor, which I've yet to install. which I bought for this one here to put not solid state drive to put it in another. I think that one's 2 terabytes. I bought it for really. Picasso was great. It was incredible. Self-hosted unraid server, Chris. The whole cloud can go down. Won't affect you. Yeah, that's true, but you need power for that. Yeah. Anyway, John, get a drive 5 HDDs or. I don't have a problem with Western Digital hard drives. Never had a problem with them. Chris, click on System and then right on the about list. Okay, System. Okay, Settings, System. Where the hell's System at here? There is nothing here in Windows 11 or 10 for System. SYSTEM. Okay. Why does it not give me that now? System. Okay, click on System. And then right at about the list. There's nothing here. Ugh. The only way I got that before is with Control Panel. Control Panel. And there's System there, so it didn't work. System, and then what do I click on right? There's nothing here. It says About right at the bottom of the list, okay? There's no About. When I click on System, it just says Online Support, and it's the company. So I don't know what to say. It isn't there. It isn't there. So let me try to do Control Panel. I'll go to the old Control Panel. Control Panel. Okay, click on Control Panel, System. Okay. There's nothing for About here. Nothing. Doesn't exist. Anyway, here, try this System window here. Okay, it brings up the same crap, and it does exactly what I just had. So Windows 10 sucks when it comes to that sort of stuff. I hate it. I like the old interface for Control Panel. I also prefer the old Explorer, you know, the file manager. Dollinger's is back. Navi Gates. Anonymous Lex, long time. Where have you been, Anonymous Lex? Why have I not seen you in donkey years? I hope you're well. Thought maybe the Rona got you. Chris, you can view your specs in Task Manager and Performance. Task Manager. Okay, under Performance. Ah, thank you there. Okay, that's helpful. Okay, under Performance, using 12% of my CPU right now with all this to 9%. Been up for 2 days, 1 hour, and 54 minutes since I last rebooted. Didn't really tell you anything there. Ethernet, NVIDIA. My video card is using 10% of the RAM on that, and it's running at 28 degrees Celsius. My solid state drive running at 10% of that, currently using, must be using virtual memory. I'm using 46% of my RAM, and my CPU 9%. Doesn't tell me what they are, though. It just tells me utilization. Doesn't tell me what they're doing, though. Details. No, nothing there. Services. No. Anyway, crap stuff. File Explorer still exists. I use it most of the time, even on Windows 11. File Explorer. Well, let me try that. File Explorer. That's not what I want. I hate this one here because it keeps always getting amended and changes. So File Explorer. Let me see what it does. File Explorer. Okay. It says File Explorer Development Setting. File Explorer Options. Okay. Doesn't give me anything here. You can probably download this separate thing. Look at the top, Chris. Easy to miss. Look at the top of what, John? This. Oh my goodness. Task Manager. Look at the top. Task Manager. Options. File. Options. View. There's nothing there. You said Performance. I went to Performance. There's nothing at the top. It just says my processor. Memory. Let me go to the video card and see what it says there. Doesn't tell me anything. It just tells me what card it is. Anyway, it's not important. Anyway. Yeah, so 89 likes. We're getting there. Thanks, Leka Verkshock. Okay, cool. Fix it with a hammer. Guardian prepping. It's the Army answer, man. Use a hammer. Just use a hammer, damn it. That's funny. I think I'm going to play a little more of today, rather than do a Night Owls, I think I'm probably going to play a little more of Hearts of Iron 3. I wiped out the French last night, although my forces in southern France, which were necessary to conquer France, got trapped in Vichy, even though they were allies. And they had no fuel and resupply. It took a long time to get them out of there. And last night I invaded the Soviet Union. So, haha, I'm bringing them to heel. I don't want to know anything, John. I would like to have what I used to be able to have and tell me what my system resources are, my video card, how much RAM it has on it, my processor, what its speed is, yada, 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 all in one place. It used to be very clean. I don't like this, the way Windows is done now. Anyway, folks, that's under PC settings system. Right at the bottom should be about PC settings. I'll try one more thing here. PC settings. There's nothing here called PC settings. And I do a search for PC settings. No such thing. No such thing. Nothing there. Anyway. All right. I don't know about how many notices. We're so close to 8,000 subs. Please always like, comment. Oh, I noticed. I watch it every day as YouTube takes away subscribers. I hit 51 yesterday, and now I'm back to 51 because they took away 3 subscribers yesterday. YouTube. Anyway. So, yep. Crazy stuff. Yeah, I went from 5,000 views on the 4th of October to 1,900 yesterday. But that's because I had 2 shorts that took off for half an hour and gained over 1,000 views each, and then YouTube shut them down. So that was 2,000 views. 50 watching, 90 likes. Cool. What game were you playing, Chris? I'm playing Hearts of Iron 3. Will you get there? What? Oh, I'm talking to Erica. What game is Hearts of Iron 3? Oh my goodness, Hearts of Iron 3 is a classic. Hearts of Iron 3 is an incredible classic. It's a strategy game, based game, but the problem is that there's so many different things that happen in it that it really slows down. It takes so long to process things when you get further into the game. You handle resources, and I'd started, but then it doesn't work properly on newer computers, so I can't do anything on this computer, because if I run any other application, it'll stop. It'll stop. It'll remove it from the screen. I have 2 screens here. It'll stop the screen, and I have to come back in the game, so I can't show it to you. Hearts of Iron 4. I did Robot Trucker, and I didn't like it. That's why I stick with 3. Yep. Yeah, the Rugby channel is picked up too. Just a hint: if your PC is sluggish, rather restart instead of shutting down and rebooting. Nowadays, shutdown is somewhat like the hibernation mode. No, I do restart it. I restarted. Yeah, that's what I did, Chris. When I say shutdown, so I'm talking about I did a restart. Yeah, and then I reboot my router. My router is either becoming defective or my provider's a problem. I'm not sure which, because periodically I think that there must be a lot of data that sits in the router, gets built up in there somehow. Anyway, and then I suddenly get slow connections, so I have to unplug it and reset it. So that's been happening at least once a week now, and it's getting a bit irritating. I pay $250 frickin' a month for that service, and I shouldn't have to do that. Anyway, but the router I have is incredible. It's much better than the previous one. This one does a gigabyte. It actually will do more than a gigabyte, but that's what they rated as a gigabyte. Let me see what somebody said here. People are very kind. Anyway, so I did the Joe Biden video. I'm just looking at that. Yeah, I mean, some of these things I did. Gasoline prices aren't Biden's fault. 159 views. I'm Joe Biden. I'm from Puerto Rico. 191 views. But country music legend Loretta Lynn passing away got 1,370 views. It was a 15-second video. And then I did Trump sues CNN. 263 views. Seattle Times and the Starbucks suing, not suing, but trying to stop Tiffany Smiley. That one got 1,500 before they shut it down. Yeah, YouTube. Nasty people. Nasty people. Anyway, folks, 90 likes. There we go. I'm going to wrap it up here. We're going on 2 hours. Thank you so much. No Night Owls tonight. No plan for Night Owls. I'm going to take a break, play on my game for a few hours, and then run some errands. Maybe go collect my mail. You guys take care of yourselves. Our next purchase will be Sniper Elite 5. I'm sick of Call of Duty, and Sniper Elite is old news now. You can only kill Hitler so many times. Left click on the Windows icon at the bottom left corner, and then PC settings system at the right bottom should be about... No, it doesn't come up there. No such thing. That's not what my screen looks like. We have settings. And I did it. It gives me that crappy window. Anyway, so you're not going to get me there because it just isn't working. So anyway, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. And the reason why I have this gaming machine, for those who remember the old channel, is I was running off a PC in which the graphics was built into the motherboard, and it just became too much. It couldn't handle the video and bringing feeds in, and it just kept causing all kinds of problems. So I got tired of that, and then I spent $2,000 on dollars, not rand, building this machine and getting it delivered in February, only for YouTube to destroy my channel in April, 2 months later. I needed this channel with this kind of power when I had 23,000 people and audiences of 500 to 1,500 in my live streams. I still need it now, but yeah, so there you go. Glad you enjoyed the stream. Cool. All right, guys, have a good night. Thanks for everybody. Be sure to take care of yourselves, and I'll see you tomorrow. But I've got a couple videos to make, too. I also need to make one about the student loan program here in America and the fraud of the Joe Biden administration. Plus, I need to do one about DACA. So you do not have a graphics card slot. I have a graphics card on here. I'm talking about the old computer didn't have a slot. I was just going to buy a graphics card, but I couldn't find one. There was nowhere to put it. That computer only had 2 expansion slots that were both taken up, so that's why I bought and built a new computer. Anyway, folks, take care of yourself. Thanks a lot. I appreciate your support. Smash the like button if you haven't done already. And, in case you didn't know this, Joe Biden is a Puerto Rican.
And so I was sort of raised in the Puerto Rican community at home politically. And so we came here for a long time, both for business and pleasure, since you're part of the Third Circuit Court.
No, it wasn't old. It was just a pre-manufactured machine that was available in exchange, and they don't always give them all the resources they need. It wasn't that old. But yeah, well, it's probably that computer's about 10 years old now. Anyway. All right, everybody. Cheers.